Hello and welcome to this 19.1 release video for the Material and Resource Planning module. The first new feature that we're going to take a look at is the new Sales over Lead Time screen. This screen will generate demand for material planning for items that have a lead time and have been sold within a date range that is less than that lead time. So for example, here we see that the ACS blender item has a lead time of 15 days, and within the previous 15 days we have sold a quantity of 40. We have a sales order quantity indicated of 10, meaning that within the next 15 days, we have existing sales orders for 10 of this item. What this means is the sales over lead time screen will dynamically generate a demand for material planning of 30 in the next 15 days. That being the quantity of 40 that was previously sold, less the 10 that have already been entered on existing sales orders. It is also possible to create fixed entries for new stock items where there is not currently a sales history, but you would like this screen to generate a demand for them in MRP. So for example, if we want to create a demand for espresso cups from the Newcastle warehouse, we can add a fixed entry for it where we can indicate the lead time of that item for that warehouse and the quantity that we would like to see a demand generated. These will then create a predicted sales over lead time entry in the future stock movement screen, which will count as a demand, which will then lead to material planning taking this into account when suggesting either works orders or purchase orders. So the idea behind this screen is that for items that you keep selling within your lead time period, MRP will know about those sales and it will keep suggesting that you replenish to handle those sales, whilst also taking into account existing sales orders that have been entered to reduce that demand. Our second new screen that we want to take a look at is the Master Production Schedule screen. This screen is used to generate recurring suggestions that can be set as either daily, on a specified day of the week, or on a specific date within a month. You can use different frequency options for different stock items. So this is an agreed production schedule that will then drive demand into material planning. And if we look at the examples on the screen here, we are making 5 kitchenette packs every day. We want to make 20 standard kitchen packs on the 20th of every month. And finally, we want to make 10 PM sink pack items every month. The demand from this screen will always be generated for the next 6 months from the current date when you run material planning, although there is a setting in the material planning settings where you can change the number of months where this demand will be taken into account for material planning. If using this screen to set an agreed production schedule, you would then just use the forecast screen to reflect exceptional demands outside of the agreed schedule. Demand from the master production schedule will then appear in the future stock movement screen as you would expect, explaining the demand that will then be picked up the next time you run material planning. The third new screen to take a look at in our 19.1 release is the Stock Running Balance screen. This screen displays predicted balances against stock items going forward. You can specify one or more warehouses, select a product group, and choose how many months ahead you want to review the balances for. Once you click Show and the screen has generated, these columns will then display the information split by the number of months that you have selected. So for July, we are seeing figures here suggesting how many goods in we're going to be getting, how many are going to be going out, which will give us our closing balance for the end of July, starting from the current stock position. Because I've generated this screen for 3 months, if I scroll further to the right, I will see the same information presented for August and then September. So the information that is presented here is effectively the same as you're seeing in the future stock movement screen, but presented in a different format and giving you closing figures for each month selected. The stock movements button at the bottom of the screen will take you to the future stock movements screen for the selected stock item. Okay, so that's the new screens explained. So now we're going to move on to look at enhancements to existing functionality. First of all, when running material planning, you will now see it skip through a step called MPS generation, which relates to our master production schedule. So this is basically material and resource planning, checking if you have set anything up in that master production schedule screen. When reviewing suggested purchase orders now, we have added 3 new columns towards the columns on the right hand side, these being usage of month to date, year to date, and last 12 months. So hopefully that provides a bit more information that's immediately available to whoever it is who's reviewing the suggested purchase orders to decide whether they need actioning. Moving into the capacity planning screen now, on the first tab, the rough cut tab, we have now added progress bars underneath each graph so that when you are refreshing that particular graph, you will be able to see a progress bar displayed charting its progress. We've also made some performance improvements in this screen for people with a large amount of works orders to scan through and a large amount of operations and capacity to calculate. We've also made some performance improvements to the overdue tab. Previously, you had to wait while this whole screen was generated, whereas now we display the remaining time against each works order as we find it in the list, which means the list as a whole will generate a lot quicker for people with a large number of outstanding works orders. We've also made some performance improvements to the overloaded tab. We now display each resource that is found to be overloaded as it is calculated, rather than you having to wait for the whole screen to be generated before anything is displayed. An enhancement on the Operations tab is that now we only show the remaining time on operations, meaning the screen is now a reflection of what remains to be done. This is of great benefit if you need to reschedule the remaining time on an operation to a different day. Operations can also be flagged as completed to remove them from the operation scheduler entirely. Onto the Works Orders tab, and here you can see that works orders are now color-coded, and this is based on the status of the works orders. So these ones that are in green all have a status of new, meaning nothing has yet been allocated. Works orders that are part allocated are highlighted in red, works orders that are fully allocated are highlighted in orange, and so on. Works orders can also now be rescheduled from this screen. So I can simply drag a works order from one day to a different one, and this will update the start and end dates of that works order, but also the operations within the works order, as previously works order dates operated independently of operation start and end dates. Thank you for watching this video. A new features video for the 19.1 release of works order processing is also available.